Okay. Gnome. New music video.
Yeah.
I was having a tough time sleeping and opened up Poke's stream. And this was my first encounter with X's new music video. It reminded me immediately of a book I've been reading by Carl Jung, The Red Book. Carl Jung is a psychologist who died in 1961 and wrote many psychological works. But The Red Book isn't a scientific work. It never tried to be. For context on what this work is, I'll refer to this quote. The years when I pursued the inner images were the most important time of my life. Everything else is to be derived from this. My entire life consisted in elaborating what I had burst forth from the unconscious and flooded me like an enigmatic stream and threatened to break me. Basically an intense spiritual experience in which he learned a lot about the nature of the psyche. There is a chapter in this book called One of the Lowly, in which he encounters a man who was living a simple life. Later in the chapter the man dies and Jung says, "What did this one do? He worked, lazed about, laughed, drank, ate, slept. He lived the human myth after a fashion, admired the wonder workers, praised the death of the tyrant, and vaguely dreamed of the freedom of the people. And then he miserably died, like everyone else." When Jung went into the room of the dying man, moonlight shone into the room, and he speaks, "I look inquiringly at the moon as a witness. How does this concern the moon? Has it not already seen worse? Has it not shone 100,000 times into broken eyes? Death? Does it not uncover the terrible deceit of life? Therefore it is probably all the same to the moon, whether or how one passes away." Jung goes on to explain some of his realizations. He writes of the balance of being one of the lowly, living life by just being like any other human, and each individual's mountains, where people try to become and strive for a better version of themselves. And I think this parallels in the video. X is seen alone observing his fellow people who are just being from a distance, but he's in a state of becoming, a separated individual. But then he sees someone, and I know everybody asks if this is Geneva, but I look at it from a psychological view rather than a literal point of view. In Jungian psychology there is something known as the anima, which is the Latin word for soul. It is the unconscious feminine within a man, which one experiences in the inner world, that exists in contrast to his conscious masculine, which he expresses with his persona to the outer world. When a man is attracted to a woman, he projects that inner unconscious feminine onto them. X was in love with Geneva, and most of the time, when we encounter the anima within our dreams, she takes the form of the woman we're attracted to. So X's soul is leading him to step down from his individual mountain and to be amongst people, to just be, which is something we should keep in balance, writes Jung, since only from being low you can look up. Let me include a quote that I forgot to mention, that I'm gonna show again at the end of the video, because I think it really fits the scene. "Your heights are like the moon that luminously wanders alone and through the night looks eternally clear. Sometimes it covers itself, and then you are totally in the darkness of the earth, but time and again it fills itself out with light." He first speaks of the man he encounters. "He makes living light and easy. He leads to the depths, to the ground where I can see the heights. Without the depths, I do not have the heights. I may be on the heights, but precisely because of that, I do not become aware of the heights. I therefore need the bottommost for my renewal. If I'm always on the heights, I wear them out and the best becomes atrocious to me. At your low point, you are no longer distinct from your fellow beings. You are not ashamed and do not regret it, since insofar as you live the life of your fellow beings and descend to their lowliness, you also climb into the holy stream of common life, where you are no longer an individual on a high mountain, but a fish among fish, a frog among frogs. Your heights are your own mountain, which belongs to you and you alone. There you are individual and live your very own life. If you live your own life, you do not live the common life." He writes again of the depths. "There you live the endlessness of being, but not the becoming. Becoming belongs to the heights and is full of torment. How can you become if you never are? Therefore you need your bottommost, since there you are. But therefore you also need your heights, since there you become. What one is as one who becomes, no one knows. But on the heights, imagination is at its strongest. For we imagine that we know what we are as developing beings. And even more so, the less we want to know what we are as beings. Because of that, we do not love the condition of our being brought low. Although, or rather precisely because only there do we attain clear knowledge of ourselves. To be that which you are is the path of rebirth. But far off, your heights shine to you above the sea in golden light, like the moon emerging from the tide. And you become aware of yourself from afar, and longing seizes you and the will for your own movement. Okay, enough reading. Now there's a scene where he walks past his soul, which I can't fully make sense of even in my subjective view on it, but for the sake of interpretation I'm gonna reach even further and make some more connections. X is not fully following where his soul is taking him and keeps himself at a distance with his individuality since he wanted to fully realize who he wanted to become. A small detail I'm connecting to this is X wearing his headphones. Literally this is showing that he is probably just listening to the song that is playing, but I think it also connects to some sentiments X commented on when talking about his tattoos, specifically his alone tattoo.
You want thorough or you want brief?
Thorough, sure.
All right, alone. Alone is the biggest concept for me, literally. Alone is literally my idolization, because my thing is, whether people think they're alone, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're amongst 1,000 people, you are still alone, because your lies are not known by these other people. Your sins are not known by these other people. Until you confess your sins amongst another man or upon your God or even the devil or even what you believe in, nobody will completely know you. So no one will ever know if you're being honest. No one will ever know what you want them to know. No one will ever know what you want them to know, how you feel, you know?
Right.
So have you ever got, all right, it's like when a female goes and speaks to her nigga and she's like, oh, and he asks what's wrong and she's like, oh, nothing, you know? And then he's just like, all right, well, I tried, you feel me? That's not the response you want.
Right.
That made you feel alone, because you feel like this nigga don't care enough to hear what the fuck you talking about, you feel me? So then you get this feeling of being alone, even though you're in a relationship at that.
Right.
So my thing is, like, I've sinned so much, I've done so much, I've seen so much, and I know what others don't know about me or about this world at that, and it's being alone.
So you feel alone because you don't have anybody who truly understands everything that you've been through?
To some degree.
Yeah.
It's just, it's some things are unexplainable, you know? Some things I can't sit here and talk about because people would think I'm weird or people would think like that I'm crazy, you feel me?
They might already think you're crazy,
yeah,
to be honest.
partially.
And weird.
I'm used to it.
The video ends with X yawning, since on the path of becoming one's greatest version, one has to solve tiring riddles to be able to overcome and evolve. I don't have a script left, but I'll leave you with some clips of what X has been talking about and his vlogs that I think are also relevant to this. So thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed it, like the video, let me know if you want to see something more, because I've been thinking about a lot of stuff to make videos about, that I could make videos about. So if you want to see more of my thoughts on things, let me know. And give me your own interpretation of how this video is meaningful to you. See ya.
Okay, so my current focus is creation and evolution. No matter whether you realize it or not, every day you evolve. Every day you create. You create in thought, you evolve in mind, you evolve as far as your age, you evolve physically, mentally. If you are evoluting physically and you are not evoluting mentally, you are not doing the right thing. So for you guys, I want you guys to constantly be trying to evolve. As far as creation, being creative in thought, being like living life like a dream, you know, like as far as you are the actor in your own movie, you get what I'm saying? And you are the person that you desire to be. If you want to pretend to be a princess, carry yourself with the mannerisms of a princess. If you want to be a prince, carry yourself with the mannerisms of a prince.